You're listening to the Things About Nature podcast. Coming to you from a city that never sleeps is me, your host, Rockshana. I invite you to join me in truly honest, passionate, and fun talks that motivate, invigorate, and maybe inspire. Even though we're no longer in the mile high, the sky is still the limit. Everything and anything goes. So let's start talking about things of that nature. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Things That Nature podcast. I'm your host, Rockshana, and today, because of course I have new friends and it's just the trend, I don't even know why I do the intro anyway, but today we have Lauri Levin, and I'm excited. She's a health coach, she's an author, we're gonna get into things. And yes, yet again, another author. So hi Lauri, how are you?
Hey, Rockshana, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for just including me in your day today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's a great day. The sun's out, and why not talk to people and make new friends, right?
I love it. I am. I'm meeting people all over the country doing podcasts, and I think I'm learning more from them than the other way around. Hope that's okay today for you as well.
Yes, I definitely have to agree on that one. I believe last year, I spoke with a band in Sweden. And we ended up just talking about Sweden the entire time. It was awesome.
Oh, I'm reading a book by a woman who moved from the States to Sweden, and it is fascinating. It's about climate change. And that's a country that's doing a lot of things really well.
Right. See,
very cool.
Very
great country.
I love it. So you're an author. Were you always an author?
No. No, I never took a writing course. I've got typical education, through high school and college and so forth. And I have a graduate degree, but I didn't take any writing classes that I can ever remember other than what was required maybe in elementary school. I don't know. It's been a long time ago, but no, it was never a focus, and I'm just loving the art of communicating via words lately. And I just knew 15 years or so ago, a book was in me, and this particular book needed to be written because I was so discouraged by being an American, being in a country that equality was not just front and center all the time. I mean, it's just the basis, really. It's just the basis of our lives, the quality of our lives. So after a 25-year corporate career, to answer your question, I left it to get into the health field because I am a passionate health coach. And I realized, it takes health, it takes happiness. It also takes equality to really thrive. And it's hard to thrive, right, when we don't have equal access to resources and opportunities. So anyway, the book's been a passion of mine for the last 15 or so years only in my life. The topic forever, but writing just in the last 15 years.
Oh, okay. So without giving away what's in the book, what is the book about?
How do I do that without giving away what's in the book? So I'm going to turn that question on you. How do I do that, Rockshana, without telling what's in the book? That's an interesting question. It's focusing on a topic that I don't think we talk about enough, and that is that which occurs to women. We're 50% of every race, of every country, of every religion. Mm-hmm. So when women rise, everybody rises, right? And so it's a good look at where women stand, mostly in the country. I focus on the United States, but there's a lot of takes on other countries as well. I did an analysis, which I just love, in Chapter 8, 5 global reports looking at countries all over the world, and created a top 20 list and a bottom 20 list. Overlaid on top of that, women leaders, those countries that have been led by women and where they stand. And then the most dangerous countries to be women, of which the United States is one of the top 10. And so that's why this country really needs to focus on the safety, the well-being, and the rights of women. And again, when women lead, negotiate, and legislate, everybody wins. And that's really, without giving away, so I was able to answer your question.
There you go.
You're good. You're very good. No, I was able to answer. Yeah, without giving away, I could have just said that line. When women lead, negotiate, and legislate, everybody wins.
Awesome. I like. Did something happen that made you write this book specifically, or I know you said it was something you've been passionate about, but did a trigger happen?
Yeah, that's a great question, a very thoughtful question, and I appreciate it. I think, and I said this to my sister the other day, and it hit me hard as I said it. I think being an American is a traumatic experience, particularly over the last several years. Um, we live as one of the most prosperous, if not the most prosperous country in the world, but there's such gaps, income, rights, access to opportunity, such gaps. It's a traumatic experience, and the violence in this country, you know. So, like so many, I was raped my first year of college when I went away to college, long time ago, but those statistics are the same today, unfortunately. And every 9 seconds, a woman is beaten in this country. Every 6 minutes, a woman is raped. I was raped again after college in a relationship. I was stalked, beaten, terrorized by an individual. It's happened so many times in my life in my 20s that I had to just kind of walk around going, my gosh, this can't be just happening to me. And so I set out. I was at first a civil rights activist in my teens, then became a feminist, really aware of the inequities that women face every day. Got my graduate degree, MBA, and went into corporate, had a wonderful corporate life, but saw the disparities there, both in terms of gender and race, looking around and seeing all white people, seeing mostly white men, certainly in leadership positions. So this topic has been forever near and dear to me, very, very personal. And 15 years ago, I read a story about a woman who was raped and murdered. And so I sat down, I was so angry about it that her life, and I had a daughter, she was only about 10 or 12 at that time. And I thought, wow, this young woman's life ended in the newspaper. Her story of her life was a story in a newspaper about her murder, her rape and her murder. And I was close to that. I came close to being a statistic like that myself. So I wrote the poem. I sat down and just wrote out of it. Oh, I was angry. And I wrote this poem called Call Me a Woman. And so after I wrote it, I thought, I think this is a book. And that's the name of my book, Call Me a Woman, on our way to equality and peace.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. That's like intimate and sensitive stuff right there. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I hadn't talked about, nobody in my family knew I had been raped for 30 years. I didn't talk about it till my 50s. So when we question people about why do you wait so long, there are reasons, and they are as many as there are people that have been in those situations. Nobody can, tell you when you need to tell some. It's a very difficult thing to do. And when the book first came out, I just cried. I mean, I thought, now it's real. Now it's out there. Now I have to talk about it. It's gotten a little bit easier, but it still chokes me up.
Okay. What was your writing process through this book? I know you said you wrote the poem. Was it even more parts of writing and sections that really hit home?
It was really just such a transformation of myself that occurred at the same time. It took 15 years. You read about these authors that put out books in 90 days, these authors that write book after book. I admire them. At 15 years it took me. I don't have that much more time to write too many more books if I keep going at that pace. Hopefully my next book will come out sooner than this one. But it was a long, arduous process, and I got a lot of help along the way. People that knew how to write. My daughter, the English major, a wonderful woman I met years ago, one of the best writers. I just was so fortunate to meet her. I actually helped with her book in terms of getting the word out about it. She was tough. I mean, and really tough on me, but she was right in everything she said to help me get it organized. I just kept writing like I could write an article, but I kept writing the same article, she said, every chapter. She said, Lauri, you're proving the same point every chapter. You've got to write it like it's a continuum. And that was hard to do. I didn't know how to do that. So it was really a difficult process when you're an untrained writer. But it's been really an extraordinary experience of, revising and editing based on what was current. When it takes that long, you got to change it a lot because it's got to be current and of interest. So anyway, I think I know how to do it a little bit better this next time, but I got a lot of help. I'll say that. And there are a lot of great people that helped me along the way. Very appreciative of that.
That's nice. You had a support team that helped you along the way.
I sure did.
So a next book, what's the next book?
I want to write 2 or 3 more. I am a social justice fanatic. I always have been since I was a kid, very, very young. I wanted to march with Dr. Martin Luther King. I was born in 1955. He was assassinated in 68. So I was 13 years of age. So it was very early on. I had those thoughts that was one day, I was Peace Corps bound. I thought, so there was always this social justice streak in me and my family. We're passionate about politics and equality and well-being throughout the world. That's kind of where I come from, the roots from which I come. So the next book is called Parenting with Soul. And it's how do we parent to create the kind of world that creates the equity. Let's get to the source. I am always somebody, let's get to the source of it. We see all these stories about women disappearing, and fortunately, we're not seeing the stories of women of color disappearing. They're disappearing at a higher rate than white women are disappearing yet. How many people of color are we seeing in the newspaper for months at a time? It's all a tragic story. And to really get to the source of it, we must see that it occurs, again, in every race, every religion. And we got to focus on what the source is, and that's male violence. Why are so many boys and men creating this kind of violence in the world? So my next book, I really want to get to the source of that. And it's my first habit of equality, first of 7 habits of equality that I included the book, and that is about parenting. So I thought it'd be a really cool kind of connection and continuum from the book, taking one of those habits of equality and getting to, well, how do we raise our children so that we don't have to talk about sexism and racism anymore? I don't know about you, I'm pretty tired of it. I'm 66 and I'm tired. I'm worn down. I don't ever want to talk about racism or sexism again. I'd like to live in a country, in a world where it was just a non-issue. And for somebody like me, that it's been almost, entire 60 something years of my life, I'd like to be done with it. How about you?
I'm right with you, girl.
Yeah. Now you're so young, so I just can only imagine what you've experienced. All of us have, women of color, and people just in general. We've all, and that's why I say I think it's a traumatic experience to live in the United States for a lot of reasons. And that's something I'm hopeful about. My book has a very hopeful tone. Everybody that's read it says, wow, this is hopeful, Lauri. This is positive. Given all you've gone through, this is positive. And I'm very happy to hear that was the takeaway, that there is hope. I will always have hope. Dr. Martin Luther King, it's the first paragraph of my book. May I read that? His quote.
Oh, absolutely.
I said, one of the most powerful agents of transformation is hope within the heart that holds its seemingly impossible outcomes become achievable. Hope is what dreams are made, hope is what dreams are made of, the kind of dreams that change the world. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. inspired us to remain hopeful no matter what. He said, we must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. Big stuff, right? John Lewis. I just read his book 2 times, back to back. I've never read a book 2 times like that, back to book. Hope, right? You remain hopeful. Equality is the struggle of a lifetime. And I'm clear that I won't see a lot of things in my lifetime. That doesn't matter to me so much anymore. I just realized that we're all like the piece in the mosaic. Alice Paul said that her mother told her that we're all a piece in the mosaic. We've got to do our part, right? So anyway, I want to focus in and kind of develop this whole idea around parenting. And at any age, I think we can be that support for our children. My daughter's 27. I still feel like I'm parenting, right? And how can I be that connection to her from somebody who's seen a lot more than her, has a lot more experience and time on the planet? So kind of want to address that. I have no idea where it's going, but I'm jumping in.
Now, is your book, so the writing content of it, is it more articles or is it very much of a story?
Oh, it just combines so many things. The first chapter is what happened to me. So it talks about the years I went through multiple sexual assaults, so that people could see, yeah, this is somebody